over there on the border of Compton and Carson. We have a cemetery called Lincoln Park Memorial Cemetery that about a week or so ago just unexpectedly closed down. They just closed the doors.
Just shut the
Uh,
doors, man.
they just shut the doors. They didn't say nothing to anyone. No warning. No nothing. They just said and on the website it said permanently closed. But let me play this quick news. Play this quick clip from the local news here because a lot of families over there they flipping out right now because they got their loved ones over there, and also Raymond Washington, the founder of the Crips, he was buried there in Lincoln Park Cemetery back in 1979. And let me play this quick clip, and then we'll talk about it. Let's see here. I actually got two clips that I want to play that I think tells the whole story pretty succinctly.
Crazy thing about it, Alex, is I've been seeing that cemetery all my life and didn't know that was Carson across the street.
Well, yeah, you got Woodlawn on one corner. That's on the Compton side, Woodlawn
Yeah.
Cemetery, and then you got the Lincoln Park Cemetery. I guess you would automatically assume you see you see this large cemetery, you just think it's one cemetery, but it's actually two of them.
Yeah, I thought it was one all them years.
But we got two local stories here that covered this cemetery situation. You've been driving by the cemetery for I don't know for decades. um,
Right.
you probably know some people, or some people know some people that you know that buried their loved ones there, some family members there, some homies there, because it's mostly black. It serves the black community. This most of the people there are black folks.
No doubt, no doubt. And I got two homies over there. And I know back in the day, you know how it is. The first few years, first 3-4 years, you go visit, but then you end up losing so many homies. If you was to just, it'd take a week for you to just start going to all the cemeteries visiting them. And, unfortunately, that's just the reality of it. But yeah, I got two homies over there. I know some people got some grandparents and stuff over there. It is a local, black cemetery. I ain't saying black owned. I'm just saying a cemetery for the black community. And I mean, for them to just close their doors, Alex, like with no notice, no nothing. I mean, I'm starting to believe that what happens is it wasn't a very well kept cemetery for one. The grass was brown. It looked kind of dusty. The upkeep wasn't there. But when you're talking about a cemetery, if people are not coming in there spending money, it's a business. If people are not coming in there being buried, then how are you supposed to be able to fund, your gardeners, your property taxes, or cemeteries don't have property taxes. I
Yeah,
thought
they do.
they do.
They pay that. Well, they pay taxes to the city. So,
Oh,
so
okay.
the Woodlawn Cemetery pays taxes to the city of Compton, and the Lincoln Park Cemetery pays taxes to the city of Carson.
Okay, so you can get behind on your tax bill and all that is basically what I'm saying, and I believe that just wasn't enough people being buried there on the regular for the door to stay open.
Well, I went to a city hall meeting yesterday, and apparently the owner of the Lincoln Park Cemetery was elderly, and he had an incident to where the paramedics had to come get him from the job,
Mm-hmm.
and he had to go to the hospital. So he just shut the cemetery down because he doesn't have a support staff. And like you said, that place has no upkeep. It's just like weeds growing all over the place.
Yeah.
It needs a lot of help. So I think the owner is elderly. I don't know if the owner is black. I'm assuming he is based on the interaction that some of the people had with him. But here's a clip. I finally got everything going. We'll play this one first, and we'll get a little bit more insight on what's going on. Here we go.
A cemetery in Carson has closed with no apparent warning, and families with loved ones buried there can't get inside. Others who were planning funerals now have to make new arrangements. And as our Shayla Girardin reports, the people who run the cemetery are nowhere to be found.
The gates are closed at Lincoln Park Memorial Cemetery in Carson.
This is the office where you're supposed to make arrangements.
Kenneth tells us they paid to have a loved one buried at the cemetery, only to find it closed. He's been trying for weeks to get in touch with someone, but the phone line is disconnected.
We have our loved one is still at the mortuary, because they can't be buried here now. So we're just looking for some answers as to how we can get her buried.
Teresa Watson has 2 loved ones buried at the cemetery and says her sister used to visit their graves often.
She went one day and the gate was closed. This was 2 weeks ago. And she called me and she said, the gate is closed, I can't get in.
With no word from management and no staff in sight, it's been weeks of questions.
A little bit of scary. We don't know, we're like in the dark. We don't know what's going to happen to our mom and our grandma's grave.
Then families noticing this sign from the city of Carson go up this week, saying the cemetery was unreachable and that anyone wishing to file a complaint should reach out to the Cemetery and Funeral Bureau.
If we can get some information, it would put us a little bit at ease.
Families we spoke to say they're just hoping for some answers.
Not only are they leaving us hanging, they're not giving us any information.
So tell me that ain't a crazy story right there, man.
No doubt. But while I was sitting here listening, I'm just wondering, just say if dude was the sole, owner and operator of the facility and he did get elderly and he did, say get sick and can't do it no more and don't have family. What happens in this situation? I mean, do somebody else come in and say, okay, we might buy the cemetery, or do they, damn, what happens? Like, do the city take over and have to, because what do you do? Do you start telling people that they can come move their loved ones to another cemetery?
I saw some of the people that have family there at a city hall in Carson yesterday, and they said moving their bodies is out the question. That's not even an option. We're not going to disturb our folks that are resting. But I think the state has to take over. Sacramento has to either take over, and there's also a funds. There's a funds available for cemeteries when this stuff happens. So it takes a process of going through certain red tape before the funds are released. But it's crazy that if the owners, the problem is this is sort of like independently owned. It's not like a big corporation. So this is a privately owned cemetery, and it's not corporate run. So if it was corporate run, this would never happen. But because it's privately run, that's the issue. So, hey, there's so many unanswered questions that the people had at City Hall yesterday, and Carson City Hall didn't have any answers. No answers.
Well, I'm thinking, they getting it together. They probably working it out with the state to see what goes on, because at the end of the day, just say if now, say if we walked out our homes and didn't pay the bills, then the bank would own the property. What if his property is paid for, you know what I mean? And nobody is left to, the city and state is going to have to step in at some point and either take over, maybe they become lien holders or landowners of this property by default, but they're going to have to come in and open them doors at some point, man, and so people can see their loved ones and things of that nature. I don't just see them closing the cemetery down forever, saying you can't go see your people, letting the grass grow 10, 20 feet high. I don't see that happening either. You know what I mean? So I'm going to keep a close eye on this, man, because like you said, I got a couple homies over there, and I know a couple of my homies got some grandparents over there. So, man, this is wild.
Yeah, I don't know why maybe another cemetery that's more established, like Inglewood. There's a couple cemeteries in Inglewood. Why don't they come over there and take over? And so everybody could see, so their families can come visit their loved ones. I don't know, but this cemetery has a lot of history. It goes back many years, and I got this other interesting clip from KCAL News, Pat Harvey, that I wanted to share. The audio on this clip is very historical. So here, take a listen to this one.
Now, the mysterious and sudden closure of a local cemetery has left many families searching for answers. The gates at Lincoln Memorial Park are locked tonight, locked tight. No one can get inside to visit the grave sites of loved ones. KCAL News reporter Lori Perez is live in Carson now, and she spoke to some grieving families. Lori.
Well, Pat, you're right. Locals tell us it's been about 3 weeks now that this gate has been locked up tight. No one has been able to get any answers, not even the city, which posted this poster saying the owners, in their words, are unreachable.
My daughter's 7-year anniversary is on the 29th of this month, and I can't get in. And my heart is just totally broken.
One grieving mother after another.
To pull up here and see these gates locked, you don't even know. This is a nightmare.
Stunned locals keep showing up at the gate to Carson's Lincoln Memorial Park, hoping this padlock and chain are gone. No workers have showed up for weeks. The phone has been disconnected. The park hours on its website have gone from closed to permanently closed. The cemetery, which is privately owned, has essentially been abandoned, and broken hearts are breaking once again.
What are we to do? What are we to do with our family members in there?
Public records show Lincoln Memorial Park's license was first issued in October of 1998 and won't expire until October 2023. The State Cemetery and Funeral Bureau confirmed that and sent us this statement saying, in part, the Bureau is aware of reports that the cemetery may have reduced operational hours and or closed, and the CFB is looking into these reports to determine the best course of action.
Somebody needs to come and tell us something. Please, just let us know what's going on.
They are begging for answers about this landmark burial site, one of the first integrated cemeteries where veterans from as far back as the Civil War are laid to rest. A place for the dead, but also for the living, who say they are being cruelly separated from their loved ones again.
We all here because we love our families, so we want to have access to them. We pay.
I spoke with a local pastor tonight who said she is organizing with local churches to hold a protest here later this week. We're live in Carson. I'm Lori Perez. Back to you.
Lori, thank you.
I kind of like that story a little bit better because they talked about the first integrated cemetery, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to really tap in with the residents there. Most of those residents are from Compton, even though this cemetery is on the Carson side. It's right on the boundary. It's right on the border, right there on Central Avenue.
Yeah, you cross the street, it's Compton. Yeah. So
right.
you got a lot of Compton residents in there that's buried here. But like you say, I believe when you was at the city hall meeting, they said they gonna look into certain things, Alice. I believe everybody is looking into certain things, even like you say, from the bigger cemeteries with the money that's looking for other places to, because it's a business. They probably looking at how much room is left. You know what I mean? Is there any room to go up? At the end of the day, it's a business, Alex. So if they got plenty more room to bury some bodies where some money can be made, that would be a faster way for somebody to come in and say, we'll take it over. But if the space is limited, the cemetery is, 80%, 60% full, it wouldn't be feasible for another big company to come in when they say we can only bury so many more people here. Why would we take on this responsibility? And that where I think it might fall in the state hands, to finish burying people there that can be buried and then just use state funds to keep it open. It just may be something that have to be done like that.
A lot of cemeteries are now building those shelves, those walls. I don't know what
right. Like mausoleums. Yeah.
So that you could put people, you can stack them when you're running out of space. So that's always an option for a cemetery to expand, find some space on the cemetery and build those walls so that you could accommodate more loved ones. But in one of the stories, a guy just was trying to bury someone there. So he just recently was planning to bury a loved one, and they closed down. So, I ain't never heard of no story where a cemetery just closes down unexpectedly. But apparently the private owner is ill, and his staff is not around, and I don't know if there's any family that related to the owner. And they say he's in serious condition, like his health is really failing him, and I don't know what to expect. But I'm gonna I have a video that I'm gonna be posting on StreetTV from the city hall meeting in Carson where they talked about this, and some of the residents were there, and people got a chance to make 2-minute remarks to the city, but it sounded like it looked like the city council there in Carson didn't even care, man. It just the people were pissed about it, man. But again, this is where Raymond Washington is buried amongst a lot of other people from LA, and people are pissed, man.